Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We all know how addicted to secrecy the SNP truly is. It hates having to release any information, even the most innocuous stuff. And this is why, of course, it keeps going to court to try and win cases in order to keep things away from the public, out of public domain, away from the prying eyes of those who end up having to pay for their mistakes. And this addiction, as it were, even extends to going to court when they know they're going to lose and having cases thrown out within seconds, as of course was the case with the Hamilton papers. This, of course, being when they said, no, it's in the public interest to retain the information, to not release it. It would be embarrassing, etc. And the judge went, seconds, no, thrown out, and they had to release. And of course, they still haven't. And then they're going to look to do another court case in order to continue hiding the truth from us, the people. But now it's taken legal advice again to say that it can, or as they claim anyway, because they haven't, here's the secrecy, they haven't even released the legal advice they were given. But they're saying that this legal advice they took now means, and they're boasting about it, that they can launch even more court cases to avoid publishing any future information. And this, of course, is, this all came about really because of Nicola Sturgeon allegedly, we have to be careful, breaking the ministerial code. It was found that she technically hadn't, but that there were other issues involved, and this is all part of the Hamilton inquiry. And so they said, they were asked to release the papers, to release all the findings, the full report, and they said no. But surely, if she hasn't broken the code, then there's nothing to fear. And as they often say, if you have nothing to fear, you have nothing to hide. So you have to ask what they're hiding. But that court case, the Hamilton one, cost £30,000 as the SNP executive tried to wriggle out, of course, of its publishing of this full, unredacted evidence. And it refused to do so again after the court, when this was requested after that loss. And they kept citing legal issues. Now, Hamilton, who was the independent advisor to the ministerial code, issued this report which found that Sturgeon had given an incomplete narrative of events to MSPs investigating the government's handling of the sexual misconduct allegations against Alex Salmond. Now, Salmond himself is about to sue the SNP government for £3 million. Now, I can't see why he's suing the government. Surely he should be suing the SNP themselves. After all, he was head of the SNP as well as being First Minister. And if they've got rid of him on spurious grounds in order to make Nicola Sturgeon the leader of the party, then it's surely a party political matter, not a governmental matter. And so, really, he ought to sue the SNP, and that, of course, would completely break them. They don't have anything like £3 million. They haven't got anything like £3.50. Let's face it, they are skint. However, he's now going to be suing them. He's going to court. And, of course, he can cite the evidence of the Hamilton report. And to do so means that they must present that report to the court. And at that point, of course, it being in a court of law, the evidence can be opened, seen, heard, and adjudicated upon. And that is truly why they are fighting this case. They're not fighting it to try and save the case. They know they can't win. Alex Salmond was acquitted of all charges. But that's not the reason why they're fighting. They're fighting in order to try and stop the Hamilton papers coming out in court. Isn't it weird at the lengths these people will go to deliberately hide information? Now, this unredacted evidence, the full unredacted evidence, has yet to be released. And the government are going to the government are forcing a court case again to stop this. And yet now they've found that there's new reasons not to publish it. There's continuing finding reasons not to publish it. But, and this is the worst of it, they're continuing to spend public cash in order to hide information from the public. How is this possibly right? In correspondence that's been released, and this surrounds this whole government's reaction to this court defeat, the initial line was prepared to give journalists asking about the loss, and it said that what was the line? We're committed to openness and transparency and recognise that scrutiny is essential for effective government, and we note the decision in this case and will respond fully in due course, is what they said. But if they were committed to openness and transparency, surely by now they would have released the report. So, of course, that line that they're given is complete and utter horseshit. They've got no intention of ever releasing that information. How could they? How could they stand there and release information that they have fought so very hard to hide? It remains a mystery, doesn't it? Now, in discussions that they've had surrounding this whole shady dealing of secrecy, and this okaying for the media comments that they're told the party line is to give this out, one of the officials has come up and has said that they'd taken advice from the SPADs, the special advisors, all the officials, and then there was another person whose name was redacted on this official document. Now we have to ask, who is this redacted name? Is it John Paul Marks? Because if it is John Paul Marks, you've now possibly, and I'm not saying it is, but it seems pointing that way, that you now have the civil service conniving with the SNP government to hide information a court has said should be published from the public. At that point, you don't have a civil service, you just have the admin wing of the SNP. How is that right? How is that possible? And this, of course, is costing all the time more and more increasing amounts of money. And the worst of it is the SNP are actually boasting about it. And they're boasting that they will continue to spend all this money. It is outrageous, to say the least. It's a complete absence. There's a complete absence of shame in these people. They should be brought to book. They should be forced to release it. And they cannot continue to have humiliating defeat after humiliating defeat in court and then go against what courts say to do. There must come a point where a court is brought back in. They're brought back into court and told that it is contempt, and start jailing some of these people until those reports are released. And as a side note, remember the gender case and how Hamza Yousaf said, oh, we took advice and we were told we'd win, which is why we're going to court. And people said, well, let's see the advice then. Publish the legal advice. Oh, well, no, the case is ongoing. Blah, blah, blah. We'll publish it afterwards. Well, it's been a year. So where's that legal advice, Hamza? Will you ever publish it? Or will it be just like everything else? You told you will lose, but you pushed ahead with it anyway and wasted public money on a case you couldn't possibly win. It stinks, doesn't it? I'll stop there. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.